After a weekend over the football with Arsenal in Dubai, Bukayo Saka's men are recharging, with some important players about to return. Today we'll get the breaking fitness updates, find out what's happened to Gabriel Martinelli, discuss the returns of Ben White and Bukayo Saka, as well as a brand new update from Fabrizio Romano. We'll find out what's happening with the future of William Saliba.
Yo, what is going on, guys? My name is Spurs14. Welcome back to your boys channel, and ignore the glasses, your boy's not feeling 100%. It is what it is. We are still here for the content, with Arsenal currently in Dubai. I wish I was there as well, to be honest. But as per, smash a like on the video if you enjoy, and subscribe to the channel if you are new. Help your boy on his road to 300,000 subscribers. Starting off with the breaking Arsenal news. And there's only one place to start specifically, and that is a fitness update on Gabriel Martinelli. Taken off against Newcastle in the 32nd minute with a hamstring injury. Bukayo Saka confirmed after the game that he felt something in the hamstring and he wasn't comfortable to continue. So we will have to have an MRI scan tomorrow to see the extent of the injury. Your boy was initially optimistic. Walking off, not seen in crutches. I was expecting a grade 1 at max. But then we got a David Ornstein update and it wasn't the best. Confirming that Gabriel Martinelli faces more than a month on the sidelines with a hamstring injury, which means he will miss some massive games. Leicester away, West Ham at home, Forest away, a Champions League round of 16 first leg, United away the second leg, and Chelsea at home. And it also means Arsenal without their front three of 2022-23. Every single one of these players injured, with Gabriel Jesus out for the season itself. For one of Arsenal's highest goal scorers in the absence of Bukayo Saka. No, he's not been perfect, but he's still been influential. For Arsenal, that leaves only 4 remaining fit attackers: Leandro Trossard, Kai Havertz, Raheem Sterling, and a 17-year-old Ethan Nwaneri. Now, when you're going for a title and you're already 6 points behind the league leaders, that is not what you want to see. And in terms of Martinelli himself, he was Arsenal's second highest player so far this season for open play XG per 90, only behind Kai Havertz and even ahead of Bukayo Saka. And for Arsenal fans themselves, they're looking to one place and one place only. We are talking about the board. Having not sanctioned a move for a forward in the January window, despite Bukayo Saka wanting the likes of Ollie Watkins and Benjamin Sesko. Reports even claim that money was available, but the Arsenal higher-ups and the Arsenal sporting director weren't in favour for a move, instead opting to wait for the summer, use their funds on their main targets instead. But they've essentially thrown away this season. For an Arsenal team that is so light going forwards without 2 of their main attackers, their best one, Bukayo Saka, out until March, we can't even say there wasn't any market opportunities. Matthias Tel going to Spurs, Kvaratskhelia going to PSG. The reality is, but with Arsenal unable to act, it showed a lack of urgency. Ambition in the season itself to take an opportunity. Our main rivals of the past few years are Man City, fighting for top 4. Liverpool may have been amazing, but having also not made a single signing, we had a chance to capitalise and grow our team further. Show the Arsenal fan base and the entire world that there was ambition for this season. Instead, Bukayo Saka finds himself in a very difficult position, having spent less than Tottenham, City, United and Chelsea since arriving in December 2019. City and Chelsea I might understand, but Spurs. It's not to be ultra critical because the Arsenal board have got stuff right. There's a reason why we fought for titles in the first place. Being sustainable isn't wrong, but with only 4 attackers left available, this season is getting harder and harder. Bukayo Saka will now have to find some internal solutions, with one shout being potentially playing Kieran Tierney as a left wing option. I don't see him there as a starter, but in games where Arsenal are needing a goal, with Tierney's ability in the final third, one of the only Arsenal players able to provide a consistent cross, with a final ball that we've seen time and time again be deadly. It sounds desperate, it sounds crazy, but at this point, what other options do we have available? You've then got the likes of Fabio Vieira and Reiss Nelson, 2 forwards that Arsenal have on their books, but on loan to other clubs. In terms of Fabio Vieira, according to the Gunner blog, at the end of December, Arsenal had a brief window in which they were able to recall Fabio Vieira from his loan from Porto, but they decided against it. Having started 9 of Porto's 14 games in the Portuguese league this season, it's not that he's been ultra influential with only 1 goal and 2 assists, but the fact is he would have been an option for Arsenal. Keeping him out on loan only makes sense if Arsenal were going to sign a full, a player that can play on the right hand side and as a number 10, not even being a guaranteed starter for Porto. Having not even started Porto's last 2 games, from the current reports, Arsenal do not have any more recall clauses, so as things stand, Fabio Vieira will remain at Porto on loan. And likewise the case with Reiss Nelson, who has just himself returned from a major hamstring injury. Bukayo Saka will have to do with what he has available, which as things stands is very limited. But in terms of one player that Arsenal definitely want to sign going forwards, RB Leipzig's Benjamin Sesko is once again on the score sheet, getting a goal and an assist and an 8.0 rating in a game that Leipzig won 2-0, making it now 18 goals and 4 assists so far for Leipzig this season. Sesko now has 100 goals for club and country at the age of just 21. And the goal itself just showed elite composure, running in behind with so much intent, then cutting inside with finesse, placing the ball into the bottom right hand corner. The more you watch Sesko play, the more you see why Bukayo Saka wants him so badly, because he's a profile that Arsenal don't currently have. have. Yes, in terms of Kai Havertz, Arsenal have a player that has 20 goals and assists so far this season, but in terms of the intent to run him behind, that natural striker's goal-scoring instincts to not only want goals but also chase them, ask yourself a simple question. What would Kai Havertz do in his exact same position? So as Fabrizio Romano confirms, the understanding is there will be a chance for Ben Sesko to try something different in the summer, so Arsenal will be there for sure. He is one of the top strikers on their list, as they believe he could be a top candidate, with even Sami Mokbel confirming Sesko, not Isak, is Arsenal's most realistic summer target, with a gentleman's agreement in his contract, meaning he could be available for around £70 million. Not only is the potential there, but there also will be instant impact. Sesko by no means is the finished article, but even at his raw ability, he would elevate this Arsenal team by offering us a profile that we don't currently have. But what about Alexander Isak? Reportedly costing over £130 million, and that's if Newcastle don't get Champions League football. Having seen him thriving against Arsenal in 2 different games, more and more fans becoming convinced that Isak is the guy for Arsenal. Arsenal have shown in the past with the arrival of Declan Rice they can spend big money, but you also have to realise that we're not Man City or Chelsea. If you spend £130 million, that's most of your summer budget gone. For me, as badly as I want a striker, I also want more creativity. Because you look into the stats of our wide forwards. In terms of shots per 90 for wide players in 2024-25, Saka and Martinelli both average under 2. Lower than the likes of Rodrigo, Yamal, Rafinha, Lookman, Diaz, Barcola, Olise, Salah, Vinicius and Dembele, which shows to me that these players are being starved. Forwards that we know have good finishing in the final third, but are not getting the chances that other wide forwards are. With the potential arrival of Martin Zubimendi on top of Declan Rice, with a elite back forward so much depth, Arsenal have the perfect platform there. But when you look at our main creators on top of Bukayo Saka, of course you've got Martin Odegaard. Against the box, a player that can find space, with little cute passes. But do we have a player that can create separation, burst past any system and change the game? You might have the potential to Ethan Nwaneri, but it's a profile that I think Arsenal need to add to their squad. You look at Xavi Simons at RB Leipzig, a prime candidate, but you've also got a dream candidate for me. Leverkusen's wonderkid and Florian Wirtz, who according to the reliable Sami Mokbel, Arsenal will chase if he decides to leave Leverkusen, with other clubs also interested. 21 years of age, a star for Xavi Alonso, with 15 goals and 12 assists a season in just 34 appearances. The maddest thing to me is the fact this is all post-ACL. After a major ligament injury back in 2022, he's come back and he's looked just as good. Comfortable on both feet and able to drive him behind. A Wirtz type of profile would be the dream. If the goal for Arsenal is to become the best, as much as our players work hard, we also have to recruit the best talents. The prime example of course being Declan Rice. £105 million in a player that every time you watch play, you understand exactly why Arsenal paid the money. This would be a Man City-esque signing, who of course have just signed Omar Mamouche. So if rumours are to be believed that Arsenal have a lot of money to spend in the summer, some even claiming over £200 million, rather than spending a majority of that on Alexander Isak, for me, it has to be a Sesko, on top of another creative profile. Whether it's Florian Wirtz or Nico Williams, as much as Arsenal need a goal scorer, they also need creativity. Moving on to the big returns. With Arsenal currently in Dubai enjoying some warm weather, a part of the squad that has travelled is of course Benjamin White, having missed the last 3 months with a major knee injury. As images have confirmed, he is now back in full training, seen here alongside Arsenal fullback Miles Lewis-Skelly. Of course, he's going to return in time for Dubai to get his tan on point. But in terms of the timeline, according to reports, White's progress in Dubai could see him make an immediate return to the squad to face Leicester City. However, Mikel Arteta will not take any unnecessary risks with the defender. Rightly so, after missing 3 months, you have to be careful. But it's the fact that we haven't spoken about him that much here is very important, showing the impact of Urian Timber, a player that has stepped up and constantly been available, despite coming off an ACL injury. The return of Ben White though is going to be massive. Despite Timber's obvious strengths, you've also got White's profile, which in the final third and the overlap can be effective. Having seen him last year alongside Bukayo Saka form quite a partnership, also able to play as a right centre back and cover for William Saliba. The question now falls to Mikel Arteta. Once Ben White is fully fit and available, who is going to start out of him and Timber? For me, the way I see it is it all depends on the game. Against teams that have top wide forwards that need 1v1 defenders, I would actually go for Timber over Ben White. But against those deep blocks where Arsenal need something going forwards, Ben White is the guy to turn to in terms of overlaps. Because without Bukayo Saka, Arsenal will need more from the right hand side. Ben White offers us a different dynamic, a major part of Mikel Arteta's squad building, having different answers for different games. But I also want to ask a question. Where on earth is Takehiro Tomiyasu? Having made only 1 appearance for Arsenal all season, off the bench in a game that he got injured straight away, not a part of our squad for Dubai and not seen in any photos. At this point, has he just taken a gap year? But in terms of returns, we also have news on Bukayo Saka. Having travelled with the Arsenal squad to Dubai, Arsenal have confirmed themselves he is stepping up his rehab, seen here doing some light work in the gym, with one very noticeable scar on his hamstring, showing the effects of his surgery. According to reports in the UK, Bukayo Saka is due back at the start of March, and this return of course is going to be gargantuan, but we also have to be very careful. For an explosive wide forward, hamstring injuries are always going to be techie. Having seen many players in the past get these injuries and not be the same after, with the main issue being re-injury. After having a major surgery, Mikel Arteta is going to have to be very careful, not only to use Bukayo Saka this season, but also prioritise his long-term health going forwards. For a player that hasn't played since December the 21st, but still leads the Premier League for most big chances created at 19, more than Palmer, Salah, Trent and Rice, this guy was on course for a historic season. 9 goals and 13 assists, still being Arsenal's highest goal provider in all competitions. If Arsenal have any chance of winning anything this season, the state that Bukayo Saka returns in is going to be deciding. But in terms of Arsenal themselves, according to Simon Collins, the idea of the training camp in Dubai is for the players to recover and re-energize for the crunch part of the season, but time will also be set aside for set pieces, just like last season. Post Dubai last year, Arsenal of course were imperious, dropping points in only 2 games against Villa and Man City. Only 1 defeat to end the season. Our first game back of course was Crystal Palace, in a game that, if you remember correctly, our first goal came from a set piece. Having been knocked out in the FA Cup, of course it wasn't ideal, but having seen the impact of last year, but with a hectic schedule of January and December, next to no time to train and recover, the hope is that Arsenal can come back flying. Currently on a 14-match Premier League unbeaten run, their longest ever under Mikel Arteta. In terms of our main rivals Liverpool, they of course have also been knocked out of the FA Cup after a shock defeat to Plymouth Argyle. Now, it wasn't their first team, they had a lot of key players missing, having also qualified for the Carabao Cup final. On top of the Champions League, Liverpool will have the extra game there. But for Arsenal themselves, even with the Champions League, we only have 7 matches between now and April, after playing 9 on January on its own, with more time in between games. Not only will Mikel Arteta have more time to coach, but for the Arsenal players it's about locking in. As we saw last year, a run is definitely possible. With the return of Bukayo Saka and Ben White, Arsenal will get stronger, and with our first game back being a game against Leicester, we've got a very good chance to build momentum. But with the Arsenal players currently enjoying the warm sun, here you've got our star defender William Saliba, a player that we've seen some breaking reports about. According to RMC Sport in France, Real Madrid are targeting William Saliba as an absolute priority. Privately, it's expected that he will become the most expected defender in history if he is to leave Arsenal. It's not a surprise whatsoever. Real Madrid are one of the most ambitious clubs in world football, always looking for the best no matter what they have, with a prime example being last summer. Having won the Champions League with Bellingham and Vinicius, they then go and sign Kylian Mbappe. With the aging Antonio Rudiger at the back, Militao out for the season itself, Real Madrid will be on the market for a new centre-back. But in terms of the Arsenal star himself, here he was signing autographs, with a fan saying Saliba Champions League please. Saliba responded with inshallah. The fan then said never go to Real Madrid, and Saliba responded with a smile, having always made clear his love for Arsenal Football Club. My issue here is not the environment, it's more about ambition. For a player that has so much ability, the goal of course is to win the Champions League and the Premier League. That's where Arsenal will have to be careful not to make the same mistake. Having seen previous eras of Van Persie and Fabregas, players that had to leave Arsenal to win trophies, this Arsenal team is special and we've seen the journey. Bukayo 23, Saliba 23. We have the chance to do something great, but it will only happen if the board also backs the project. With the need to invest heavily in the summer transfer window, the potential departures of Jorginho, Partey and Zinchenko, players will be leaving, so players will need to arrive. In the season itself that Arsenal have their backs against the wall, the likes of Saliba will be key if we have any chance of winning something this season. But that is the video there and there, so hopefully you guys have enjoyed. If you have, don't forget to smash a like and also subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you want to follow your boy on all of his social medias, the links are down below in the description. But that was all of your latest Arsenal news today, as Arsenal have some major returns around the corner as you continue their work in Dubai. A return of course is next Saturday against Leicester, which of course we must win. But until then, if anything happens, I'll let you guys know. I'll see you next time. Take care and a bit.